One movie that I cannot wait to rewatch a second time, a third time, a fourth time is Michael Mann's Ferrari. That is a movie that I'm disappointed I can't see for a second time in the theater.
I got the last seat at a 9 a.m. showing
That's right.
on a Wednesday, sold out.
When we saw it, there was barely anyone there.
Really?
There was three other people, a couple and another guy, and the couple left less than halfway through.
People were fucking excited. But personally, I found Ferrari very boring. I didn't want to. I really wanted to enjoy Ferrari. And I think the race scenes, incredible. I love those scenes. They're truly magnificent filmmaking, but I just didn't care. The stuff with his wife,
Do you think it's because you're thrown into the middle of it?
yeah.
That's my theory as to why the couple left. And Michael Mann does this, where he'll begin a movie in the middle of something. Black Hat is like this. Heat is kind of like this, kind of thrown into the middle of these relationships and things going on. Michael Mann doesn't really hold your hand or anything. When you enter into a movie, you kind of have to figure it out yourself. That's my theory as to why the couple left is that they're watching this movie and they're
Well,
just,
I think they were expecting a racing movie, which I knew it wouldn't be. It's Michael Mann. I knew that was going to be the case, but I bet you a lot of people going to see that movie, they thought it was like Ford versus Ferrari.
he executive produced that movie, by the way.
It's good. Very different.
He has an affinity for race car driving and the guy and character of Ferrari.
I think my big problem was I couldn't really get the stakes.
I don't know, man.
I mean, I guess he's going to lose his factory, but then also kind of not. And that's sort of, I thought that was going to be the thing is he has to win the race.
The only thing he cares about is racing, but he needs money to do it. And to do that, he has to have the factory to make cars so people can buy a Ferrari and be like, I have a Ferrari. Winning the race means that he can continue to do racing. The act of racing is terrible. The racing scenes are great because they are driving the most fucked up, janky metal death traps. These cars run over pebble and they fly at 500 feet in the air. The crash scene that in the movie is a fucking war.
A couple walked out during that scene,
Yeah.
which is near the end of the movie. There's only like 15 minutes left.
That happened. It's not a thing that they made up. It was a thing that actually did happen.
That's a wild moment.
Unbelievable. Completely unexpected.
I was very confused by this. I don't think I ever got it. So it wasn't the tire.
Maybe if they did put a new tire on him and they did go over it, maybe it wouldn't have cut into it because the tires weren't as worn. Or maybe not. Maybe it would have popped the tire either way. But either way, Enzo Ferrari, he's like, we have to deflect. We have to say it's not our fault. I cannot relate with the stakes thing just because it feels so weighty. Because for Enzo Ferrari, it's everything. I'm thinking of when he's at dinner and he's like, if two of you are about to hit a tree, fuck it, kill yourself. I love the moment where he's talking to his little kid. That is such a good Michael Mann moment. And the opera scene, too, through not really any dialogue, really going back and forth between all their different memories are flashing as they're watching the opera and they're thinking about it through their oh my god, those are the moments that I find moving, and that is why Michael Mann is one of my favorite directors. I think he can make an exciting racing movie. He clearly can.
That's not the point of the movie.
He's trying to reflect reality, but then when the crash happens, it's crazy, and he's talking about it as if it's going to war as well. There's something both evil and not evil about him, the way that he operates.
He's an evil man.
I just don't think it's that simple.
He's human, so it's complicated.
That's what I'm saying.
But he also is completely willing to sacrifice people's lives.
Yes, he is willing to sacrifice people's lives. Yeah.
For a car.
That's why the stakes are so high for me, is because what crazy shit is he going to allow to happen?
I don't know why it didn't hit me the way it should. I mean, it has all the components, and I feel like I should really like it. When you're talking about it, I'm agreeing with you, but I really enjoy all this stuff. And yet something about it, I don't know if it was just in the moment or it just didn't fit right. It just didn't.
And maybe one of the reasons why people walk out too is because late period Michael Mann is a little awkward. I'll admit that. They don't necessarily look or operate that movies typically do. I'm thinking about the Bob Marley trailer.
Yeah,
That movie just looks like the most typical biopic.
100%. It's exactly what you expect.
I imagine people wanting something like that when they go see Ferrari.
But it's not that.
The movie takes place over the course of a month or something, which I like. I like that a lot. But I think a lot of people also don't like that. I think they want more, but I don't think that stuff's important. I think that this is important because he has to do a lot of crazy stuff and make a lot of crazy decisions to protect his brand and his racing while his relationships are in tumult. His wife is angry about tons of things, rightfully. When he goes see his mistress is angry at the fact that he won't give his name to his son. There's all these things that he's confronted with all the time, rightfully, of course, because these are all his own doing, which is about sacrificing yourself for the art to reach a height above death. I find that very interesting and fascinating because it's not really something that I necessarily would want to do, but I find movies and art and whatever about that extremely interesting. I feel like you're really getting into the mind of the guy who's willing to make all these crazy sacrifices and sacrifice other people for this thing that he's so passionate about. It's ridiculous.
I think the thing maybe that bothers me, or the thing that sort of drives me a little insane, is I'm coming into a movie where Michael Mann, he knows a shit ton about Enzo Ferrari.
Yeah, he's clearly very passionate about him.
But I leave this movie still knowing very little about Enzo Ferrari. And I think that's part of the reason why I couldn't connect with them is I feel like I need to read a biography on Enzo Ferrari before I go see this because it just feels there's all this stuff going on that I just don't see and it's hard for me to connect to. He knows all of that stuff and I just don't really know anything about Enzo Ferrari. I get that moment and I understand that moment in time and he's captured that really well. It's not like I need to know his life story. I just feel I don't know enough about Ferrari and I feel as if I went and read more about Ferrari because I feel this is a much more enjoyable experience if you know about Enzo Ferrari and I know almost nothing about him. And I know you don't know much about him either, but I think that would increase the experience for me.
I love going into the movie not knowing anything about him and then knowing a lot more about him by the end of the movie. I feel like I know him a lot. I went in not knowing anything about him, and by the end, I feel like I was in his brain.